Well, Army's heading out. Travis, Maddie, and the family, they're feeling it's time they get going too. But Mrs. Salazar and Nick are still at the Army base, and they're not leaving anyone behind. Time to get those missing and get out of Dodge. Maybe a giant army of the undead can help with that. It's the season finale of Fear the Walking Dead, Episode 6, The Good Man. As usual, spoilers ahead, folks. So, the episode obviously opens up with the group packing to get out of town. The soldiers again are gone. The group is focused, it is purposeful, and a much more engaging group than when they are lounging around trying to figure out what else to do. Driven with direction, much more interesting. And it continues the momentum that was established with the last episode and really bringing things forward. There's a press now. They've got to move, and they've got to move quickly. There are, now with all the action that's also established in this episode, and there is a lot more action than any really of the previous episodes, they continue to push the large moral dilemmas, the big questions. It's the transition from the old world to the new world. Choices that you might have made in the old world aren't really going to fly in the new world. And this is set early on with the question of what to do with Adams, the soldier that Daniel had tortured to get information from the army base, where they are now heading off to get the remainders of their family. Daniel feels that Adams has served his purpose. There's nothing else they can get from him, implying that, that he is going to kill Adams, a quicker and safer alternative for him. Travis, he's not ready to make that choice. He thinks we can bring him along. He can come with us. Maybe they can let him go later. Not ready to make that step. And Adam builds off of that. Adams tells Travis he will tell him where in the compound to find his family, but only him. And he wants to be let go in return. A bargain that Travis agrees to. And will regret later on, but that's part of his progression that he has to make. Who do we leave behind? Who do we bring with us? Continual themes in the episode, approached and decided to by different people. Strand and Nick, when they escape the prisoner compound, Strand isn't going to stop and help anyone. He is going for himself. When the group shows up there looking for Nick, they do take the time to let everyone go. They're still holding on to their humanity. When the doctor tells Liza, we're going to go, who do you want to bring with you? What is more important, bond or blood? And again, really focusing on those moral choices. Liza decides it's, I guess, both really for her. She wants to take her son and still Travis, willing to sacrifice Maddie and Maddie's family for that. Can you blame her? There's only one or two choices. These are all tough decisions that had to be made. And the Monwells actually really step up with this. In the garage, when he and Claire are threatened by the soldiers who want to take the truck, Chris is going to defend Claire. He's stepping up. He's willing to risk severe bodily injury and potentially death, depending on how they wanted to react with him, to defend her. And then when Adams pops up at the end and shoots Ophelia, Travis responds as one might expect for someone who is betrayed in that type of extremity. And I think all of the pressures and all of the frustrations that have built up since the apocalypse are just let loose on Adam's face. They do pull him away, of course, but I think that's one of the big transition points for him. The other one obviously coming up at the end of the episode, which we will get to in a moment. So, the assault on the army compound comes along with beautiful choices. Obviously there's only a handful of the group and they have to get in. Luckily, Daniel Salazar has found a stadium full of walkers, which he has decided to let loose and lead Pied Piper style to the gates of the compound. Better save your bullets, boys. indeed. Brilliant, nice way to really bring out the army of walkers we've been wanting for, and really the first herd that we get to see. Overwhelms, of course, the army base, allows the group to get in, find everyone, get out, not without a few complications, but overall a rather stunning, exciting trip in and out of the army compound. And then it's the escape. It's getting out of Dodge. Mr. Strand, great idea to use the LA River system as opposed to the freeways, which will be chocked full of cars, and they get some nice shots in that. In fact, a lot of really nice shots throughout the episode of LA. The darkness, the fires, the chaos, just from overhead, the sort of large-scale degradation of the city. And I do believe that there will be quite a few LA residents that will be mapping out new routes home using the LA River system. Great idea, and again, a great sequence of shots really showing how the freeways and roads and thoroughfares are going to be just jammed with traffic, which they are on a good day in LA, let alone in the apocalypse. And then using those routes through the LA River system to get where you need to go. Which in Mr. Strand's case is his home on the water. A two-part meaning, actually, since his home is on the beach bluffs, and he also has a boat, Abigail, which he is planning to use to get out of Dodge. Everyone else is going over land. His idea is to go out over water, which will be obviously what we're going to be seeing in the future seasons of the show. Very exciting, kind of curious. Fuel is used up a lot on boats. They do kind of more gallons per mile as opposed to miles per gallon, so I'm a little curious about those issues. He seems to be prepped. He seems to be set. He had generators at his house, so he probably has thought these things through, but they are potential challenges that we'll run into. And of course, those other people that thought that escaping on the water might be a good idea. So, the group is able to escape, and it seems like they've left relatively unfazed. Yes, Mrs. Salazar has died, and that is unfortunate, but we, as the audience, obviously knew that that's already happened. And it was kind of an expected move. Ever since she was injured, infections really do not do well in the zombie apocalypse. And Mr. Salazar has been through a lot. He still has Ophelia. He is a tough man. It is a hard loss. But we thought that he could move forward better than anyone else. And it seemed that our group might get through this relatively unscathed beside that. Not so much the case. Liza, of course, has been bitten in the melee in escaping the compound. She's kissing her goodbyes. She disappears off, and Maddie follows her down to discover that she has indeed been bitten. Now, Liza asks Maddie to shoot her. Now, Maddie had asked Liza to do this a couple episodes ago if anything had happened. Liza doesn't think she can do it herself. She's asking Maddie for help. Don't make Travis do it. It would ruin him. It'll destroy him. But of course, Travis is not far behind Maddie, trying to find out what's going on, and he has to make that hard choice. Now, from a blessing standpoint, at least Liza tells them what's going on. Everybody turns. No matter how you die, everyone turns. The bite is only an infection, but it's an infection that can't be treated and that will kill you. And honestly, from an audience standpoint, I love that. One, they don't have to deal with the extra season or two of unknowns that Rick's group had to deal with. They know automatically that anyone who dies is going to turn. From a safety standpoint, thumbs up. But also just knowing how the infection, how the zombie bites work. Everybody is already infected, is already infected with whatever it is that will turn them into walkers. When they are bitten, when they are attacked, it is just a more intense form of infection that kills you. That doesn't turn you into a zombie. You're already going to turn into one. But it's an intense infection that can't be treated. And I just think from a medical standpoint, from understanding the mechanics of how this works, that's a really nice bit of knowledge for us to know. So, overall, I think an extremely strong episode. Definitely one of the strongest of the season. A lot of action, a lot of moral dilemmas. The energy kept moving all the way through. Few of the downsides, though, not for a show that is Fear the Walking Dead, not an actual lot of Fear the Walking Dead. The family seems kind of nonplussed about the whole zombie thing. When Nick and Mr. Strand are running through the compound, Nick's like, walkers, zombies, the undead. And Mr. Strand's like, they're slow. Don't worry about them. I loved Salazar leading the herd of walkers to the army camp. But again, he's very matter of fact. He's just like strolling down the street. Hey guys, better save your ammo. I got a giant army of walkers cruising through here. It just didn't have the same intensity. Even when they did the battles, the melees in the midst of the compound, everyone seems to be fighting the undead with a certain level of skill of knowing what to do. And I really think the ramp for that was moved too quickly. I think our group adapted much faster than dramatically I think should have been done. And that kind of carries on to the whole use of LA as a background. A lot of the stories seem to work better off from a smaller town perspective. The stadium where they had the walkers, the soldiers said there were 2,000 people in there. Los Angeles is a city of millions. It is a massive sprawl, and we never really got that scope. Again, the final shots going over town, seeing the fire, seeing the traffic, seeing all of that, those were wonderful shots. But the story in the past few episodes certainly did not really seem to reflect that type of scale. And I think that that's a certain loss of potential that they suffered from. But again, overall, I think they worked really good. They did focus on the family, which I think was more of what they were going for with this, and the effects from that. I just think it would have been done better in a slightly smaller town or a more suburban area, and not quite so much in the middle of LA for that. So, that's it for season 1 of Fear the Walking Dead. Got to see the fall of LA, the beginnings of the undead apocalypse, and now the group's going to be moving to water, moving on the Pacific Ocean. Now that's something that we haven't seen yet. I'm sure there'll be a lot of challenges associated with that. Again, like I mentioned before, fuel's going to be an issue, access to food, a safe harbor, and of course, who else has decided that heading to the water is the best way to avoid the undead. But for now, we're heading a couple years in the future and a few thousand miles east. Next week, we get back to Rick and the gang with The Walking Dead in Alexandria, Season 6. That's gonna be exciting. If you liked what I had to say, feel free to comment in the section below. Press like if you liked it. Subscribe if you want. Hit me up on Twitter. It's @DarrenJakes. I'll see you guys next week. Take it easy.